Do it.
Let's do it. Welcome to the Rise Above the Grind with the Consultress podcast, featuring today John Schwalbach. John and I met in a personal development space where we're both working on ourselves and on our business to be able to uh, get ourselves to the next level by sometimes looking at things that don't work. That has been the age of disruption incarnate for me, especially over the last few years, but literally over the last 15 years of my professional development, looking for opportunities that come in disguise as obstacles. John, would you agree?
I would agree 100%.
Well, right on. Um, I'm glad you do because that's part of where we're going to jump this conversation off is, you got into financial advisory and wealth planning as your discipline, the way for you to create value in the world. What brought you into that discipline?
I wanted to help people. I mean, at the heart of it, I thought it would be a great way to be able to really talk about people, what's important to them, their goals, their values, their dreams. And this was my way of trying to, really, bring my best self to them each and every day and try and help them accomplish those things. Because I think what the financial services industry or wealth management, whatever you want to call it, kind of gets backwards is we focus on money and we don't focus enough on life. And so when I got into this business and started my own business, we wanted to kind of flip that script and have this be about life first, what's important to people, what they want to accomplish, and then have the money be the driver for all those things. So, and that's what we've been able to do, I think, with our firm. And I think that's why we've seen, the growth that we've seen.
And I love the way that you positioned that for us here because, what you want in life, who you are, what matters to you is the thing that drives what we do day to day. The being, who you're striving to become should be your leading indicator, is in fact the only thing that really provides that clarity so that you can go out and do the things that need to be done to support that aim. Because what I find out here in the entrepreneurial world is sometimes we get so busy doing the doing of life and the doing of business that we forget to recalibrate and honestly more often on a regular basis reflect on where have I gotten to and reflect where have I come from, but also, I couldn't see the future that's now perhaps in front of me from where I set these goals. So having that consistency and reflection about what's important to me now, I think is more important than ever as we are in this acceleration age and lives are changing very quickly nowadays, businesses are evolving super quickly, technology is disrupting how we think about the way we deliver our value. So you know being able to be that trusted advisor and help people define for themselves where they're going and then give them the tools to support those and create those goals and initiatives. What are you seeing in terms of like helping people do this kind of transformation from your professional perspective?
Yeah, I think it just starts with being really, you know, open and honest with people who are best suited to work with. Because I think one of the, limiting beliefs I had going into this industry is I've got to work with everybody, right? If I don't work with everybody, then, if I say no to somebody, what's that going to do to my reputation, or how's that going to impact our bottom line? And so I had to get through that and really get comfortable with the fact that we're only equipped to work with people, I think, who really want to approach wealth management more from a life first standpoint. They really are okay talking about what's most important, being vulnerable about the types of lives, what do they want to, what do they really want to get out of life, and making sure that we don't have that backwards, that the money isn't just the driver of our work together, right? So being really clear on that, I think was the first step in just kind of defining who we wanted to be as a business, and then making sure that the people that we work with know that up front. Like, we're going to dig deep, right? We're going to go into what's really important, and you're going to have to be vulnerable, to make sure that we can design a financial plan that really is focused on the right things. Because if somebody comes in and all they want to talk about is a portfolio, and we don't know what that portfolio needs to be used for, we can't advise them, I think, in a way that's going to bring our best self to the table. And that, quite frankly, is going to make the relationship work for them, because otherwise we're just a commodity.
True. I mean, knowing why you're doing something is what makes the doing meaningful. When we talk about like just going through the motions, what can you do for me? Where can I place my assets to make the most return? Uh, okay, to make the most return to what aim? Are you trying to send your kids to college? Are you trying to buy that second home and make a vacation home? Like why? And then so oftentimes I find, especially in business, it's like, why are you in business? What is it that you're here to accomplish for yourself first, so that you can demonstrate that for the clients that you serve? So, I'm going to open up the kimono here just a little bit with you, and I want to ask, some more like secondary questions around like, how do you align yourself with this work? How do you put yourself in integrity so that you are living this work, so that you're paying it forward, not just, take my advice, I'm not using it, as, many
Right.
people who are out there grinding, doing the day to day of just like without that attached purpose. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, I think, I'm in wealth management. I'm a numbers guy. I mean, that's how we were taught coming into this business, right? I mean, I went through all this certified financial planner coursework, and it's all about taxes and estate planning and all this stuff that you really have to be good at to be in our industry. But I hadn't really worked on myself, right? I'd worked on, I think, the business side, I mean, the real technical side, and you need that to be in this business. But it wasn't until I started doing some of the work that we did together, in some of our trainings, that I got to see firsthand, like, if you really start to work on yourself and you put really clear goals and values out into the universe, and you have great people in your world to hold you accountable to do those things, what the outcomes can end up being. And so I kind of had to prove it to myself first before I could kind of take some of this work and bring it, to other people. But I certainly try and live it every day. And it starts with, kind of just morning routines. But there's just some things that have happened in life, um, that have been so powerful, for me. And I can go into some details and stories on that, 'cause I think stories are ultimately what, make things interesting, and things that have actually happened in my life. But I think being able to see some of those things manifest themselves, and then being able to bring that, type of intentionality just to the work that I do with clients, and see it happen for them too, right? Because the best meetings I have aren't, hey, my portfolio was up a couple percent, or, the best meetings when people come back and say, I didn't think I could do this. I didn't think that I could sell my business, and the work we did led to this, and I was able to do it. Or I didn't think I could make that charitable gift that was so meaningful, or send my grandkids to college. And all the work that we did, we were able to do those things. And I just am so grateful for that. Those are the best meetings that I personally have, or the planners at my firm have, or those meetings when the life transformation has happened, right? And people actually do the things that they say they want to do, because it's easy to say you want to do things and really easy not to do them, right?
Oh, 100%. So, I want to ask you, when you made the decision to work on yourself, paint us the picture a little bit of kind of what were some of the indicators in your life that you were either, I mean, I'm going to term it grinding away, but some of the things that kind of set you up to know, like, I think there's something more I need to be doing. What were some of the indicators for you that set you onto that path? And then I would love for you to share a story about your own transformation, and then if you are willing to share, or can, with your confidentiality, some
Yeah.
of that, how that came to be with your clients. So, yeah, how did you know that it was time to do more deep work on you?
the business was running my life, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I felt like I was working really hard, but it was like, what am I accomplishing here? I mean, first and foremost, it's like spending time with the people you love most. Was I doing that to the extent that I really wanted to? Just the hours that I was working and what was I working towards? And it just didn't feel like I had a real clear vision for the business and just for being intentional with the time I was spending, with the people that were most important to me. And that's when I was like, I got to take a step back and figure out, where this is going. What am I doing here, right? With my business and with my life. And so, again, some of the work that we did and some of the Jack Canfield stuff, that really set the course for taking a step back and just being much more intentional with the type of business I wanted to have, how many hours I was going to work, the types of clients I wanted to work with, how I wanted to show up for those people, right? And how that was going to lead to when I left, let's just call it the working part of my life, getting home and how did I want to be as a husband, as a dad, as a friend, and not always being distracted with work because I think that's really hard as a business owner, right? Our minds are always thinking about business. And I kind of look at my days in acts now. Act one is kind of like you're with your clients, you're in your business, you bring your best self. But act two, like you gotta do that on the home front as well, and just being there with other people that are most important to you. And so trying to separate life into those things was really important. I think I've done a pretty good job of that.
I love that. So I want to be my A game self in my value and my delivery to my clients, bringing my whole self to the table so I can serve them. And that there's this other person, like this other hat you get to switch on. And because you have your identity and your role crystal clear now in the business through identifying what you really want, looking at the interpersonal side and the doing side of business, how do I make that transaction fit inside my business world so that when I go home like Mr. Rogers and change my outfit, I can be the A game me there as well. That the
Right.
people at home aren't getting the second or third rate version of me. They're not getting the mishigas of all of the chaos that goes on in my business world that keeps me up at night. I want to be able
Right.
to come home and make sure that I'm fully present. And this is the plight of the business owner,
Yep.
integrating both parts so that we can focus in our business, but also get the best out of life. Because why are we doing this anyway? We want
Right.
the most out of life. That's why we're in business to begin with. Yes. Like entrepreneurs get to save the world because we're solving emergent problems. We are accessing the best of ourselves and putting on that solutions hat. It's like, okay, there's obstacles here for myself. Let me see if I can make those into opportunities and then share that with my clients. Hey, I've been here before. I know that when we are all work and no play makes me a terrible human to deal with at home. I want to be my best self in both places. So, knowing that that is you and that's kind of the you get to pay forward with your clients, how has that benefited them that you're coming to the table as this whole and integrated person, having done the work and knowing clearly what you want and having that awesome skill set and doing what you do? How does this experience of who you are now, how does that pay forward to your clients?
Yeah, I mean, we're not paying lip service. I think our industry in general does a pretty good job of paying lip service to
100%.
wanting to uncover goals and value. Everyone talks about this, right? This is sort of how the industry now sort of markets itself. It's like we help you down this journey and we're here for you. But at the end of the day, most of what I hear from people who come in is that's not the experience that they're getting, right? And so it's to really be a good listener. It's to sit back and listen a lot more than you talk and to really hear, especially with a couple, what are the dynamics? What does each person really want, out of life? How do they want their money to work for them? What's important to them? And making that the focus of a financial plan. And I think if you can you can have meetings like that, that again, we need to talk about markets. We need to talk about what's happening. We need to talk about estate planning and insurance and all those things and taxes. And that's really, really important to get those things right. But again, why are you doing all of this? And you really have to get to the heart of that. And I think if you get good at that in our industry, you're going to have more meaningful conversations, but people are going to be happier with their planning because ultimately the planning is leading towards them doing the things they say they want to do in life. The money is now aligned with their goals and values. The money isn't just there to build up a pile of money, right?
Oh.
And that's where I think the real, you know, I think transformation can happen with people is when the money and the life just align and they're moving forward, in unison.
So freaking cool. And because you're doing that work, you're not only giving lip service to it, which, hey, I was licensed early in my career to be financial planner, and I saw a lot of doing without the attachment to the why and the true heart of the business. So I'm
Right.
so grateful that there are advisors like you in the world who help people really do that integration from their financial planning perspective. For me, when I look at doing this for entrepreneurs, I'm always looking at this acronym, this simple methodology that I've developed. We want to know, where are you today? What is the strategy you've been working with? How have you been implementing that? And what are you measuring? This is all the tactical side of business that people feel very comfortable talking about. I'm sure, much
Yep.
like in financial planning, people very comfortable saying, well, here are my balances. Tell me what I should do. This is the tip of the iceberg. This is the entry point where the conversation starts to happen and starts to emerge. And the full scope of the expression of what the plan gets to become or what the engagement gets to become on my side of the house is really looking at what's going on beneath the surface. What's that 90% of the iceberg that's happening for them in terms of who they're surrounding themselves with, their partnerships, who they're becoming, how are they showing up, and what is it that they are demonstrating and embodying for the people that they serve, so that the empowerment piece for themselves, for their clients, and the communities that they serve. How do we line all of these things up? And if you're only working on one side or the other of this equation, you're not getting a full picture. So, when I want to talk to and engage with entrepreneurs, let's do this entire diagnostic. Let's look both at the doing side of your business as well as you and yourself and your development, as well as the people around you, your teams, and how that gets to pay forward. Because when it's all lined up, that's where exponential results come from. That's where the next greatest leap gets to emerge forward from, us entrepreneurs that are out here saving the world. As we serve
Right.
our clients, as we identify that 20% of our activity that is 80% of our results, and then doubling down on that. So
Yep.
in your realm, you're helping people in their financial lives get very crystal clear about what that 20% is and remove some of that other noise, take out some of that other worry, because you're solving for that, looking at the entire person. And that's what
Right.
true care and service, I think, gets to be in today's day and age as we leave the industrial age and emerge into the most highly humane, highly technological society humankind has ever seen, where we get to both do like our assembly line partners, understanding what comes first, second, and third, but also be, how our unique value, our unique selves gets to play a role in what we do. In fact, is more important now than ever. So, John, I want to thank you for being here with us as our first in-house live studio audience guest. I want to ask, for last and not least, where people can find you, where can people go to learn more and connect with you, and then we'll go to our studio audience for some live discussion.
Great. Yep. Go to our website, ffpforme.com. And we'd love to connect. If there's anything that resonates with you on the site or during this podcast today, would love to connect and just talk about your goals and values.
FFP for me, what does it stand for?
Freedom Financial Partners for me. So
Yes!
All
This
right.
is where financial and freedom meet, where the rubber meets the road. Again, integrating the being and the doing when it comes to looking at your finances. One of the hardest places for people to be really transparent. So, John, thank you so much. For those of you watching on the podcast, we are here broadcasting every single week. Catch us for our next episodes as we roll forward here. Don't forget to leave us comments and let us know what's most valuable for you so we can continue to drive value to make sure we're addressing the conversations that you care about the most. And from the bottom of my heart, thanks a million for being here on the journey with me. Cheers and see you next time. Same bat time,
Cheers.
same bat channel. So long.